On March 4, 2025, Donald Trump stood before Congress once again. This time, he wasn't a newly elected president. He was beginning his second term. The world watched as he prepared to speak. It was a time of great uncertainty. The war in Ukraine raged on. Trade disputes threatened the global economy. Trump had a lot to address. He had made big promises during his re-election campaign. Now was his chance to lay out his plans for the future. The American people waited to hear his vision for the next 4 years. The Capitol building was abuzz with activity. Journalists crammed into the press gallery. Politicians from both sides of the aisle filled the chamber. The air was thick with anticipation. This speech was important. It was Trump's opportunity to set the tone for his second term. The world was watching to see what he would say. Trump began his speech with characteristic bravado. He boasted about the changes he had already made. He touted his administration's accomplishments in just 43 days. He spoke of withdrawing from global initiatives, reshaping the federal workforce, and putting America first. He declared that America is back. This declaration was met with cheers from the Republican side of the aisle. Democrats, however, remained largely silent. Their faces betrayed a mixture of skepticism and concern. Trump's tone was triumphant. He spoke of restoring American strength and prosperity. He promised to bring back jobs, secure the borders, and make America great again. His words were met with thunderous applause from his supporters. The speech was vintage Trump. It was a mix of boasts, attacks on his opponents, and bold promises. He spoke directly to his base, using language designed to rally his supporters and fire up his critics. A significant portion of Trump's speech focused on the economy. He boasted about the strength of the stock market and claimed credit for low unemployment rates. He reiterated his commitment to putting American workers first. He defended his aggressive trade policies, particularly the tariffs he had imposed on goods from China and other countries. He argued that these tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs and businesses. He claimed they were bringing trillions of dollars into the U.S. Treasury. Trump's rhetoric on trade was as combative as ever. He promised to continue his trade wars, declaring that the U.S. would no longer be taken advantage of on the world stage. He pledged to fight for fair trade deals that would benefit American workers. However, his words did little to soothe the concerns of economists who worried that his protectionist policies would ultimately harm the global economy. The impact of his tariffs on American consumers and businesses remained a point of contention. Section 4. The Ukraine Connection, Minerals and Influence. One of the most intriguing aspects of Trump's speech was his focus on Ukraine. He emphasized the strategic importance of the region and its untapped potential. He announced a new initiative to partner with Ukraine in mining critical minerals and rare earth elements. This partnership was touted as a game-changer for both nations. He framed this deal as a way to reduce American reliance on China for these vital resources. The move was seen as a strategic pivot in global trade dynamics. The timing of this announcement was significant. It came at a moment when global attention was focused on the ongoing conflict. The war in Ukraine had disrupted global supply chains. This disruption had far-reaching consequences for industries worldwide. The conflict had highlighted the strategic importance of critical minerals. These resources were now seen as essential for national security and technological advancement. Trump's proposed deal with Ukraine suggested a desire to exert American influence in the region. It was a bold move in a complex geopolitical landscape. Trump's critics were quick to point out the potential for conflicts of interest. They argued that the deal might not be as beneficial as it seemed. They questioned the terms of the deal and whether it would truly benefit both countries. Skepticism was high among political analysts and the public alike. Some suggested that Trump was using the crisis in Ukraine to enrich himself and his allies. These allegations added fuel to an already heated debate. The Ukraine minerals deal was a reminder of the complex geopolitical landscape Trump was navigating. It underscored the intricate balance of power and resources. It was a clear signal that he intended to make America a dominant player in the global competition for resources and influence. This move could reshape international relations for years to come. Section 5. Faces in the crowd, attendees and absences. The audience for Trump's speech was a mix of the familiar and the unexpected, a blend of staunch supporters and curious onlookers. First Lady Melania Trump was in attendance, her expression stoic as always, embodying a calm and composed demeanor amidst the political fervor. Vice President J.D. Vance, a rising star in the Republican Party, sat behind Trump, his face betraying a hint of amusement, perhaps at the unfolding spectacle. Other notable attendees included Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur who had become a close confidant of the president, often seen at such high-profile events. FBI Director Kash Patel, a Trump loyalist, was also present, his presence a reminder of the ongoing controversy surrounding the agency and its actions. However, not everyone who was invited chose to attend, leaving noticeable gaps in the seating arrangement. Several Democratic lawmakers boycotted the speech in protest of Trump's policies and rhetoric, making a bold statement with their absence. Some brought fired federal workers as their guests, a pointed reminder of the human cost of Trump's political agenda, highlighting the personal impact of his decisions. The absence of these lawmakers was a visible sign of the deep divisions that remained in American politics, a stark contrast to the unity the speech aimed to promote. It was a reminder that Trump's speech, while intended to unify the country, was likely to further polarize the electorate, deepening the existing rifts within the nation. Section 6. A divided chamber, reactions to Trump's words. As Trump spoke, the reactions in the chamber were starkly divided. Republicans erupted in cheers and chants of USA when Trump entered the room. They applauded his every boast, their faces flushed with excitement. Democrats, on the other hand, remained largely motionless. Many wore pink in a silent protest, a nod to the Women's March that had become a symbol of resistance against Trump's presidency. Their faces betrayed a mix of boredom, anger, and disbelief. The division in the chamber mirrored the polarization of the country. Trump's speech, while intended to address the nation as a whole, seemed only to deepen the chasm between his supporters and his detractors. The reactions on social media were equally divided. Trump supporters praised his speech as a powerful articulation of his vision for America. His critics dismissed it as a rambling, incoherent mess filled with lies and distortions. Section 7. The Vision for a Second Term. America is Back. Trump concluded his speech with a call for unity and a renewed sense of American purpose. He emphasized the need for Americans to come together, regardless of their differences, to build a stronger and more prosperous nation. He declared that the American dream is unstoppable, a vision that resonated deeply with his supporters. He painted a picture of a country on the verge of a comeback, a nation poised to reclaim its rightful place on the world stage. His words were filled with optimism and a sense of urgency. He reiterated his campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," but added a twist again. This new iteration was meant to signal a renewed commitment to his original promises. This seemingly simple addition encapsulated his vision for a second term, suggesting a continuation and amplification of his previous efforts. It suggested that his work was not yet done, that America still had a long way to go to achieve its full potential. He urged the nation to stay the course and trust in his leadership. Whether Trump's second term would live up to the lofty rhetoric of his speech remained to be seen. Analysts and commentators were divided on the feasibility of his ambitious plans. The challenges facing the nation, both domestically and internationally, were immense. Economic instability, social unrest, and geopolitical tensions loomed large. The deep divisions within American society showed no signs of abating. The country was more polarized than ever, with fierce debates on every major issue. One thing was certain: Trump's second term was likely to be as unpredictable, as consequential, and as divisive as his first. The stakes were incredibly high. His speech to Congress was just the beginning of a new chapter in the tumultuous Trump presidency. The nation watched closely, bracing for what was to come.